Hello. So there's a lot of talk today about the benefits of going out barefoot and walking barefoot, running barefoot, etc. Which it might be a tall order for a lot of people, because what do you encounter when you try to walk barefoot is sometimes, well, frankly, your feet hurt. And this is a consideration for those even who are not walking barefoot, but are experiencing foot pain. So why are some of the reasons that we feel foot pain? Well, one of the reasons, there could be a multiplicity of factors, but one of the reasons is simply the stiffness of our feet. So our feet can have practically as much mobility as our hands. There's 26 bones in the feet, 33 joints in the feet. They're designed to be really mobile and to really mold and shape over uneven surfaces upon which we walk. However, this kind of a silly example, most of us walk on a surface like this. And you can ask yourself, like, is this resembling the shoe that you're wearing all the time, or does this resemble the shoe that you're wearing all the time? I like this type of shoe just because it gives me a nice contrast to something like this. So most of our shoes are really solid. They're somewhat solid, at least in the sole, and also have a lot of cushioning. And so what we encounter all day long with our feet is just the same even, smooth surface. Therefore, our joints never have to move in our feet, and we stop using our feet the way they're intended. So then you remove the shoe, you take it out, you try to go outside and walk, and every time you walk on an uneven surface, a rock, a pebble, uneven ground, it creates a sense of pain. And what that pain is just your foot resisting the mobilization, because all of those joints have all the fascia has sort of fused together and the muscles aren't used to working. So there's a progression, like any sport you want to train for. If you want to start to be able to walk around barefoot or run barefoot even, you have to be able to train your feet to mobilize more. And so there's a quick progression I can show, is that first you want to start with something really soft, like a tennis ball. And I would do this. I would just put your foot, come up and try to keep your weight, your heels on the ground, but put the forefoot up onto the ball. Come a little here so you can see it, and let your foot sort of conform around the ball. It's not that I'm trying to squish the ball into the floor. I'm just trying to let the weight and the pressure of my forefoot down mold the shape of my foot. And then you shift and you put the ball in all different parts of the foot, and you take a lot of time with it. You can take a lot of time in each, like a minute per square inch if you wanted to. And you could really vacuum down the lines between all the bones of the toes of your feet and everything of that nature. Then when that becomes a little bit more comfortable, you can move on to something of a little different shape or size or texture. And so I have something like this, which is a lacrosse ball. And it's a little bit smaller and it's much harder, it doesn't squish as much. And you can do the same thing. Then you progress to that. And you start to practice putting some of your weight onto that ball, letting the bones sort of conform around the ball. You're really trying to mold your foot and create more flexibility in the joints of the feet this way. It's kind of cool. You can start to see like little white lines between where the fascia is being stretched. And then you do the same thing, work all around your feet, take time with it. Just like training for a marathon, you're not going to just go out and run a marathon in one day. You want to start to slowly progress the amount of input you're giving. So then as you get even better at that and more comfortable, then I would progress to something like stones and rocks, and something really uneven in shape and really hard, so there's no give to it, and do the same thing. Then take more time. So now the smaller the object, the more pressure you're going to feel between those joints. And you just let the foot kind of sink into the rock or pebble or marble, whatever you have. Golf balls are a good one too. Until your feet become a little more flexy and mobile, sort of like your hands are flexible and mobile, because we use our hands all the time, but we don't tend to use those joints of our feet. So that's the key, is then use and mobilize the joints of your feet as much as you can. Then go out into the natural world and take off your shoes and play with walking around. And hopefully by that time, once you step on a rock or a stick or something of that sort, it's not going to give this feedback of pain, but you'll feel your foot kind of shape around it. So this is a nice project you can work on as spring and summer come along, and hope you have fun with that. All right, I'll see you next week.